beloved? Technicals Tinkers here, back again, checking in on the 3D print operation for today. I own a business that has nothing to do with 3D printing, but I'm interested in 3D printing, so I'm trying it here at home, and if I can scale it up, make the sales, justify it, I'm gonna move it into my big warehouse and take it to the next level. To follow along in this journey with me, it's just exhibition, just chronicling what I'm doing day to day. If you wanna join in on that, I'm a total novice, so all your advice and comments are certainly appreciated. Thank you to everyone who's helping me along in sort of discovering this wide world of wonder. So what am I working on today? Well, let's take a look. Up here, top row, my 4 Cobra 2 Maxes, still working on the tail section of the atomic bomb. Clear, just took something off of there. We'll take a look. We're starting the upper section of the atomic bomb. We'll probably do the lid over there, and then that will be it. So approximately 18 hours until we're all done. And we've got the greatest band ever. Kind of starting a new concept there. We'll take a look at that. Soval, we took a D20 cube off of here this morning. We're gonna take a look at that in a second. And this is spinning up. We're about to do it again. I think I got all the settings dialed in for an ideal D20 cube. So we're putting some of the good filament in. This silk PLA should make a nice, pretty cool effect. Doing the little bits here for the atomic bomb, the fins, the antennas, and down here doing another character model. I'm gonna do a sneak preview on that one. This is probably the coolest one yet. So more people asking like, you know, where's the actual business at? What are you doing here? A lot of this is just exploratory because with 3D printing, you can print anything. And so it's either functional prints or art prints. I favor functional prints. I think most people do, at least people trying to sell things. The functional prints are kind of bespoke. You kind of gotta like just stumble upon them really. So I'm constantly on the lookout for functional prints. I have some, they're mostly cryptocurrency mining on my Etsy. So really the large majority of the stuff I've been printing lately is art stuff. Still trying to prove the concept there. Now I've sold a few of like my hornet nests, which are kind of the art slash functional thing. But as far as the other stuff goes, I haven't really been adding it to the Etsy. I've only really just started adding like some of these character models here, these spicy character models. But I was looking around and I was kind of thinking in my brain, in my noodle, you know, what's popular. So obviously music is very popular. And I was like, a lot of times I think like, I wouldn't buy this. Why would anyone buy this? But people buy things. And so I was thinking, very popular band is Blackpink. Write down who your Blackpink bias is in the comments below. But anyway, I saw that people were selling just these placards on Etsy for various K-pop groups, various bands, things like that. 3D printed, obviously. And a lot of people saying like, well, I wish it was bigger or whatever. And so, because most people are printing on bamboos, multicolor. So I have bigger printers. So my aim for this is to just print the Blackpink sort of like, it's not really their logo, but like the text big on the Cobra, but break it up. So what I've done is I took and made a back plate with a negative in it, and then I'll print in a second color, pink, obviously, this text and this border, and I'll just lay it in there and glue it in. And then maybe that's worth, I don't know, 20 something bucks or something like that. I don't know. Thing is like there are lots and lots of groups and lots of fans that maybe just want to buy one of these placards to let everybody know who their favorite band is. So it's another avenue that I'm exploring again. And that's kind of like the thing I've been doing. It's like, I see something and I'm like, okay, maybe that, maybe that, maybe that. Instead of just kind of adhering to one particular thing, it makes for better content too, because do you guys really want to tune in every single day to watch me print, you know, widgets for a table saw? Maybe not, maybe some of you do, but you know, I'm kind of keeping it diverse. And, you know, should I find something that really hits, I'm still going to explore other options because, you know, I want the whole pie. I don't want just a piece of the pie. Next, the D20 cube. This is the one I did in standard regular PLA. A little stringy, I haven't heat gunned it, but I can't find anything to really complain about at all in this model. Maybe the bottom where it touched the build plate, but you know, even at this distance, can you really tell it's a textured PEI plate? So pulled the brim off, and you know, I could probably just use a deburring tool on that just a little bit, but you can't even really tell. Regular standard PLA, inside, outside on the perimeter walls. I think I got a winner here. So this one I'll probably paint, but with all the other D20s, I'm just gonna print them in the color that they will be. So probably silks or kind of funkier colors. I do have some wood PLA coming, so never worked with it before, and you know, I kind of don't want to just immediately throw basically a whole spool, because this takes basically a whole spool at it. So I'll probably do like a temp tower test or something like that, but I think it would be a pretty cool effect. So I think the D20s are ready to go. I currently have one, the marble one, up on the Etsy. The silk one didn't work out, it just wasn't sellable. This one absolutely is, and so hopefully all the ones in the future work out. and I can just kind of add them as I go. I'll probably add them as individual products just because, you know, you want that thumbnail, that color to be on there versus someone going down a list and they can't really tell, because if they're just browsing listings, you know, I kind of want it to pop. And so a couple parts of our big atomic bomb are done, our second version of it. So the bottom section here and the middle section. And with this version, I took the drag fins out and I'm printing those separately like you saw on the A1. And that way I can just, once this is all glued together and painted, just slide the gray parts in here, and hopefully it's sort of a quicker process. So that is the midday update. I'm gonna continue working through the afternoon, probably do a little painting like in Bamboo Studio, not real life painting. Probably try to add at least a couple more listings to the Etsy just to like make sure I do at least one every day. And then probably check my stats, see what's hitting, see what there's interest in, and keep going from there, and probably reply to your guys' comments because I'm getting a lot of views. Appreciate all the new subscribers. I'm going to kick it over to my future self tomorrow morning to see how it all worked out. Right, and so kind of an interlude here. I was going through, I just woke up doing my morning wrap up, reading through some of the comments. And again, it's kind of a recurring theme I've seen with a few of these videos. Several people, I won't say a lot of people, but you know, again, I only have less than 1,000 subscribers, so it's not that many people. But kind of a recurring theme, some people kind of coming in and saying over and over again, like, you know, you're doing this wrong, you shouldn't be doing this, you know, you're not going to make it because this is how, you know, things work out or whatever. How else am I supposed to do it? It seems to me a lot of people maybe think, and again, don't put words in people's mouths, but you know, how else is someone supposed to approach a business venture? So do me a solid here, extend to me a kindness, educate me, let me know how else am I supposed to approach any business venture, namely, or even 3D printing as the example. Is the method to spend hours and hours watching YouTube videos, getting a PhD in 3D printing, and then getting a 3D printer, and privately, of course, going through and doing all these things, learning about it, and then only then beginning to do the business thing. And then after you become sufficient and successful in that, then you can start making videos about it. Is that the way that I'm supposed to do it? It's not. And I've said many times before that media is a component of this. It's just exhibition. I'm just showcasing what I'm doing. And I don't know if there's sort of an underlying thing here where people feel like, oh my God, that guy's going to embarrass himself because he doesn't know what he's doing and he's showing it on video. I mean, if you think being embarrassed on the internet is the worst possible thing that could happen, then yeah, I could see how that might prompt that comment, but I don't care. I've owned a business for like 11, 12 years now. I'm not even sure how long I've been doing it. So, I mean, I understand there are some core principles that apply to virtually any business venture that you get into. Secondly, how else are you supposed to suss this out and figure it out? Because I don't know if that's, I've met people before that won't do anything until they sit around and analysis paralysis over it and do the research, you know, constantly for years before they even attempt to take a stab at something. They usually don't. They usually just never do anything anyway. In my opinion, the best way is to just jump in and start doing stuff. That's the only way that you're really going to absorb and learn versus sitting around and watching content or reading about content. You got to jump in and do it. You have to take action. And so, yeah, I make a ton of rookie mistakes. I do a lot of things that are for a lot of people who are in the 3D print space, you know, complete novice. Like, why is he doing that? Do you not know this? No, I don't. And I say that very clearly. Again, I say it's exhibition, that I'm just kind of showcasing what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. And I think that's maybe why people identify with it. The numbers seem to suggest that. I'm doing decent numbers considering the size. And so that's what this is about. This is not me telling people how it's done, how to run things. I haven't gotten into any of the business side stuff of it yet. And a lot of that stuff doesn't really apply or come into play, at least until you actually are generating sales and things like that. One comment that stood out, and I'm not going to post it, I don't remember it, but it was like, you know, you need to commit to one sort of thing. You're doing too many things at once. I mean, how else are you supposed to, if I'm doing too many things at once and exploring too many different areas, please, someone tell me, how am I supposed to find out what area works? Because unless you're trying these different areas, you're not going to know which area works. Is it just sit around and watch YouTube videos all day and do research and looking around on Etsy and then deciding this will work? Because what if you try that and it didn't work? All that time you sunk into researching it is kind of spent, it's kind of sunk, and you've wasted time. And this is kind of an overarching theme that I see, not just in the YouTube space, 3D print space, all business spaces, just in every single walk of life, is that people they don't
factor time into their equation of anything that they do, because the younger you are, the less important you think time is. You don't understand. You're dying. I'm dying. We're all dying. If you want to sit around and research and, kind of fuss over things and then lead your normal life while you're doing a business startup or whatever, it's eating away at your time. The clock is ticking. You have to move quickly on things. And a lot of people do not like to hear that. A lot of people do not like to feel rushed. They do not like to feel like they don't have time to do it because, well, I have to focus on my mental health. I have to do these other things. I can't, give up all my time for like some business thing. I have to, give time for me. And you can do that, but understand the clock does not stop. And so I feel because of that, the best practice is to jump right in and start doing things in various forms to see what sticks. Honestly, I do not see another way. Again, going back to that comment, like I'm doing too many things at once. I'm doing too many different areas. I'm not focused in on one niche versus another. Again, I ask, how are you supposed to find that niche unless it's just you trying a bunch of different niches? Then is the solution to just focus on one niche and then that one doesn't work. On to the next one. That one doesn't work. On to the next one. That one doesn't work. Does it not make sense to just kind of try a bunch of different ones all at once, and then you can kind of see and measure like, okay, this one's getting good feedback, this one's getting traffic, I'll maybe put a little more time and effort into this one's doing goose egg, so I'll do nothing here and I'll redirect those resources to the one that is hitting. I'll bring on another one and kind of measure that from there, because that seems to me the best way to suss out, to find out what niche is going to hit, which one's going to go places, which one's not. All the while, I'm still on the internet. I'm still looking around at other content and things like that. All that analysis paralysis that that maybe people think is the way to go in the beginning, I'm still kind of doing that. And so, again, I'm just sort of wondering here, how else is, because maybe I'm missing something completely. Is that the solution, to just watch YouTube videos and just kind of wait until a eureka moment comes up and then that's what you pursue? Because to me, that makes no sense. It's a complete waste of time. And there are much better ways to kind of find out what works. So again, I really like to stay on the 3D print topic here. I really shouldn't read too much into comments from people that are just kind of, because it's free to kind of just throw comments out to the wind. I'm a stranger in this place. But again, this is exhibition. This is just my journey through it. If you want to come along for the ride and look at it. Anyway, sorry to break the video again. If anyone is still watching, let's get back into the 3D printing content. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk.
Okay, that's enough stewing. It is the next morning. Let's check in on what happened throughout the course of the night. Cobra 4 quiet. Cobra 3 looks like it's finishing up, getting to the end of the upper section of our atomic bomb. Down to Cobra number 2. We've got the lid of the atomic bomb and the tail section, which was the first thing we started on the print, going low and slow. Now the tail I knew would take a while. I think it was like a 3-day print, because 1, I run it slow, 2, I do it a little thicker because that's what the model sits on. And also if they stand it up, I was thinking like it should be a little heavier to like lower the center of gravity. So that's why it's taking a little longer. Just does seem abnormally slow, maybe because it's more complex of a model. Here on the P1P, we're approaching sort of the, towards the end of our next character model. And up here on the Soval, yesterday we started with this two-tone silk PLA, this fire sort of color. Now, when I started it yesterday, I noticed pretty early in that I had just one little baby support. Where is it? Let's dig through the trash. Well, you get the idea. It was like a very, very small support, like this big. I noticed that it had chipped off and failed right where the 19 is. And so I'm like, you know what? It's early enough. I can restart the print and get a successful one out of it. So I stopped it, restarted the print, but then I noticed here, back there, the 19, that same support failed again, but the model was already up to here. There was no way I was gonna be able to get a full one out of the remaining filament. So I'm like, you know what? Let's see it through. It's gonna be screwed up. I'm not gonna be able to sell it. You know, a lot of people would say, like, well, stop printing it, use that filament for the next attempt. But here's my thinking. And a lot of people disagree with how I kind of do stuff, like, oh, that's wasteful, you're wasting money, whatever. Filament is cheap. Now, again, if you're burning through it at this rate, yeah, it adds up for sure. Because, you know, that silk PLA It's like, you know, $17, $18 or something, like, let's say $20. But what it will allow me to do is, one, check, because this is the first time I've done, with the new settings, a silk D20 cube in full. It'll allow me, one, to see if there are any other areas that I need to improve upon. And number two, it'll allow me to take pictures of it and put it on the website and hopefully sell it. So, you know, I could have trashed this, but, you know, I'm like, you know what? It's worth it. Let's finish it out. We take pictures of the good side of it, put it up online. And that way, if we do generate a sale, like, you know, because I'm not going to be able to sell it until I get pictures of it up online. No one's going to buy it off a drop-down menu of red and orange D20 cube. You know, people want to see the pictures. So, going to continue, going to finish it out. And then when I go back into the model, I'll make some adjustments to that particular area. Probably paint on some additional supports versus just changing the overhang threshold, because that would have like a more comprehensive effect. I don't want to do that. So I'll just paint on some additional supports in that area and just kind of evaluate the rest of the model and make changes from there as necessary. We went ahead and baked up our silica beads here in the oven. Someone was very kind and told me that I could just put them in the microwave on defrost for 10 minutes. That would be a lot quicker and easier, so I think I will do that in the future. A little generalized cleanup. Nothing going on the A1, but we've got some other things in play. And so because it's Friday, I ordered this earlier in the week to make sure I had lots of experimentation filament for the weekend. Got two other types of Sunlu silk PLA, probably for D20 cubes. Hopefully these work out. It's kind of like this orange and then kind of like this goldenrod sort of color. We have some of this Elegoo wood-filled. Thought that might make a nice D20. Kind of going, I won't say all in on D20s here, but want to offer lots of different variations for that. And then one of these sort of basic regular PLA from Elegoo, purple, pink, turquoise, and this very off-putting green color. So those will probably be purposed on other various things. And sort of one of the final things I'm working on. So I had shown previously this placard thing in the black pink placard. So I printed it with just like a negative, and then I took the image and converted it to just like a 3D model, nudged it up. The problem is that, and I've had this before with other letters, is that the tolerances just, like there's zero, well actually there's negative tolerance, I guess you would call it. Like the letters, even though this is the exact same size of the negative portion here, it won't fit. It's just these, you know, when it prints, it spreads out a little bit. It, you know, there's these micro variations. So it's never gonna be able to sort of snap in place. And the problem is that you can't just take this and shrink it, because if you do, it will make the interior sections smaller, and that's, you know, going the opposite way. You need to scale this down slightly, but through all exterior portions. That includes the exterior portion of the interior section as well. So, you know, you could do that with, say, like the letter I, because it only has one exterior perimeter. But even if you did it with like the K, when it shrinks it down, this section that cuts in at this part of the K would be too small. And so, you know, obviously Tinkercad's not able to do that. I don't even know what you call that function. If you know what that refers to, you know, scaling down from all outward or exterior perimeters, if you understand what I'm trying to describe here, it's probably like just this widely understood term. The other thing too is that because all these letters are in the same file, you can't just shrink it universally, because it would just take it as a whole file and shrink it down this way, when in reality we need to shrink it sort of all in. I thought perhaps that I could make a change here and scale this up, like just make this slightly larger, but then like say these interior portions of like the P would get larger, and we needed that section to be smaller. So maybe someone out there knows exactly what I'm describing on this, because I could go through on every single and like add a bevel. You know, I could create like the lettering off of this, pull it out, bevel it down, and then resync it down in there to give me like a slight, like I'm talking like a 1/10 of a millimeter edge around all these spaces. But it's not going to be clean, it's not going to be precise, and I can't help but think there's like an easier way to do it. And there probably is if I'm using Blender or Shaper or maybe plasticity. Someone suggested that. I have that on my notes to check out plasticity, because really I do any kind of work that I do is in Tinkercad, because it's intuitive, it's easy, it's fast. It's also, you know, kind of collects everything. But I would like a desktop solution something that's not dependent on cloud and something that's easy to navigate, because I don't want to have to get a PhD in design, like in Blender, in order to do some of this stuff, because I'm not doing complex stuff. I'm doing very simple stuff. So it'd be very nice if there was an in-between between something like Tinkercad and really just everything else. Because everything else is so feature rich, I get overwhelmed. It's like, going from Canva to Photoshop. It's like, certainly more capable, but it's just so many features. It's overwhelming. It's like, I don't need 99% of these things. They're there if you need them, but like all those extra things just kind of overwhelm my stupid little brain. So going to be working on that as well. I think there's some potential in those placard things, despite how simple they are. There are a lot of people searching for it. And again, that's me examining lots of different niches to see what works. Because what if I put this Blackpink thing on Etsy and I sell 1,000 of them? It was worth the time to just kind of explore this idea versus me only focusing on something I have knowledge about, because I don't have knowledge about anything anyway. So anyway, that's what I'm working on in the 3D print space today. Keep the comments rolling, good, bad, in between, don't care, engagement's engagement. I appreciate it all. Nonetheless, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. I'm The Technicals, see you next time.